Next on Paranormal, Caught on Camera. Investigators in England come face to face.
Whoa, what the hell?
With the spirits inside a haunted house.
I was trying to process what I'd seen. It gave me chills, yeah, it made my hair stand up.
A holiday elf. Next on Paranormal, Caught on Camera. Investigators in England come face to face.
Whoa, what the hell?
With the spirits inside a haunted house.
I was trying to process what I'd seen. It gave me chills, yeah, it made my hair stand up.
A holiday elf toy perched on a mirror attracts the ghost of a little boy.
I kept rewatching it, and then I was like, well, this is some creepy stuff.
A man in Canada is called out by name by the phantom former residents of his home.
It sounded like somebody said Mike, but it wasn't just like a sound in the distance. It was a really strange, intense whisper right in my ear.
And even more paranormal footage you have to see.
Oh, what the with this crap?
To believe. In order to present themselves to the living in a familiar form, many believe paranormal entities harness tremendous amounts of energy to help them appear as full-bodied. But some, try as they might, are only able to partially manifest, usually into a body part of their choosing. And if you ask two brothers in England who investigated a friend's allegedly haunted house, this one particular way of manifesting is by far the most terrifying.
Last one, say, whoa!
October 2024, in Bispin, England. Paranormal investigators Jared and David Birds are exploring a friend's house. A house that's allegedly been plagued with activity.
The house we're in was built in the early 20th century, around about the 1930s. So it's nearly coming up to 100 years old. So let's see what we can find out for them.
My name is Jared, and my name is David, and this is our video. All they told us was, you just feel an edge, just feel like something's watching. They hear a lot of, like someone's going up and downstairs. The bathroom door, things are knocked off in the bathroom. As soon as we walked in, there was a little bit of an eeriness to it. Yeah, and your hair stood up a little bit on the back of your neck and your arms.
And it turns out, there's a good reason for that. Because only minutes into their investigation, as they sweep the house with their night vision camera, watch closely.
All we can do is just keep going past and say,
Whoa! What the hell?
Did you catch it? Watch again, in slow motion. As the camera sweeps the room, a face, seemingly peeking out from behind a door, and then disappearing almost immediately.
past and say,
whoa! I was trying to process what I'd seen. It gave me chills, yeah, it made my hair stand up. I said, I'd had enough. They were like, oh yeah, and I was like, no, I've had enough of that. It just freaked the hell out of me.
The look of the face is certainly human looking. We see eyes and nose, mouth, all the features. It seems to have a very, I would describe as a kind of a dour expression on it.
Imagine, if you will, that you're a ghost and you're trying to manifest into a space, into a house, to a family that you've been trying unsuccessfully to get across to for months or years. If you have the energy to do so, what's the first thing you'll manifest? An arm? A knee? No, it's going to be a face because it's recognizable. And communication begins with this.
Sometimes there are entities that were never human and they try to communicate with us. They try to mimic us in a way that they seem familiar to human beings. And because they've never been a human being, the way they try to mimic us kind of seem really off or slightly grotesque. And it kind of is giving me the vibe of like, hey, if I put on this human face, maybe I'll blend in.
Just keep going past. Whoa! What the hell? I don't know, let's go. What the hell? I don't know.
If blending in was its intent, then it seemed to learn its lesson. As David and Jared's investigation ends 2 hours later with no other activity.
We're gonna have to look back. We're gonna have to look back, guys. We're gonna have to look back.
But 1 week later,
The house on my own is so creepy. It's terrible.
intrigued by the phantom face, Jared decides to press his luck and investigate the house one more time, alone.
And I just went round with the camera and I thought, go round. So I thought, well, there's the room where the face appeared. And I thought, well, I'll just pan round and I'll just go to the stairs.
What the with this crap?
Watch again as Jared begins his ascent up the stairs. A shadow peeking around the railing and down at Jared.
What the with this crap? I'm sick of this thing. What the was that?
I just freaked out, ran down again and ran into the kitchen. A lot of people said to me, why didn't you run upstairs? I said, well, would you run upstairs? No, do it up then.
But Jared didn't need to pursue the shadow to confirm what he already knew. The house is most definitely haunted. And the reason why may have less to do with the house itself and more to do with its location.
This is in the UK, and the UK, I feel like that entire island is completely haunted. So much has been built and preserved on that land. So I feel like the potential for that house to be haunted is very high.
A reality that may have contributed to the homeowner's odd reaction.
Whoa!
When David and Jared showed them the footage that they captured.
They were cool, they're not like getting priests in to bless the houses. They continue to live there. And they've told us we can do any more investigations as we want.
The homeowners may be unfazed, but Jared and David know that it was the capture of a lifetime.
Capturing them two specific things is the best we've done. This place is amazing. For me, it is.
Whoa!
Coming up, spirits that have occupied a home for centuries call out to its current owner. Between the cobwebs, cracked paint, and creaky floors, moving into an old house can be a big adjustment. But for some people, the vintage feature that takes the most getting used to are the ghosts that have occupied the space for decades. And even if you don't yet know their names, don't worry. Chances are they already know yours. June 2024, in Herring Cove, Nova Scotia. It's late at night, and Mike Ignani is in his living room, cleaning up after his 3 children, who, along with his wife, are fast asleep upstairs. When, in the silence of the evening, something happens that shakes him to his core. Listen closely. Listen again. As Mike stands up, examining the mess on the living room floor, a voice from nowhere seems to call his name, sending Mike running up to his family.
My name is Mike, and this is my video. Basically, it sounded like somebody said Mike, but it wasn't just like a sound in the distance. It was a really strange, like intense whisper right in my ear. And I thought immediately that one of my kids had come downstairs, which looking back at it is weird too, because none of my kids call me Mike. You can kind of see I look over my shoulder a little bit because I thought somebody was standing at the bottom of the stairs there. Obviously, there was nobody there. I took off. I mean, I don't think I've ever jumped so many steps in my life. It was such an instant, like, freaky experience that my fight or flight kicked in, and obviously I chose flight.
I've recorded plenty of EVP and I've heard disembodied voices, and trust me, it is pretty surreal. But when you hear your own name, it takes it to a whole other level.
We hear the word so clearly, Mike, and it sounds like a kid's voice, but it sounds absolutely present in that space, but we can see just his rigidity in that moment.
And he just doesn't really think about it. He bolts. He just leaves the room and goes right up the staircase. End of story. That was a pretty organic reaction to something like that happening.
Still, despite being terrified in the moment, Mike isn't totally sure he didn't just make it all up. Until
I assumed that when I went back and looked on my phone, that it was going to be something that sounded like a noise. And it was, my brain in the moment turned it into my name. People tend to hear their names spoken. But when I went back and listened to it, I was actually surprised at how well it captured what I experienced.
It's interesting because you normally don't hear stuff like that unless you're doing like an EVP session. You're using a recorder. But to hear it with your natural ear, like he did, and also catch it on film with the security cam, amazing.
That in itself is kind of like indicative of the home itself holding this energy. Like there's probably got to be something attached to the property, or the home is extremely old itself.
considering Mike's house, it might be both.
Our home is almost 200 years old, and it's the kind of location where families have been here for generations. So the streets are named after everybody, and there's been, 100, 200 years of families living in the location. When we were working on the house, I was a little spooked at times by it. It definitely crossed my mind, moving into it for sure.
When you're moving into a house that's got like almost 200 years under its belt, you have to move in with the idea knowing that there's a lot of people that have been living in this space that's been giving a lot of energy, a lot of life has happened there. So you're gonna have all of this energy within that house prior to you moving in with your family, bringing your own energy, bringing your own experiences. You're gonna have to learn to coexist with the former memories and ghosts of that home.
Ghosts that are, apparently, eager to get to know their new roommates.
It makes sense that if a spirit is lingering that once called this home, they might take a vested interest in the future people who are also considering the space to be home. A sense of connection, I mean, even maybe a familial connection that might lead someone to want to get Mike's attention. I think that makes sense.
Assuming that's the case, Mike is more than happy to oblige.
I kind of feel more of a connection, if anything, to the house. I think that it's kind of cool and interesting to be in such an old house that's got the history that it does, and maybe, people connected to it are still there. I think it's kind of neat, actually.
Coming up, did this toy elf bring out the spirit of a little boy? When one hears the phrase, the Christmas spirit, it generally brings up happy images of festive decorations and lights, family gatherings, the exchange of gifts, and of course, Saint Nick himself. And that's just how it was for one woman in Texas, until one of her children did some Yuletide sleuthing and discovered a different kind of Christmas spirit altogether. December 2024, in Lubbock, Texas. It's about 1 week before Christmas, and as part of her family celebrations, Anisha Martinez has purchased a toy elf that she moves around the house every night for the benefit of her children, so it can allegedly keep an eye on them for Santa's naughty or nice list. But when Anisha's son Messiah decides he wants to catch the elf in the act, things become unexpectedly weird.
My name is Anisha Martinez, and this is my video. Messiah, my oldest, wanted to record the elf moving. When he went to bed, he had put his camera on top of the counter. Press start, he went to bed. We all went to sleep.
The next morning, when Messiah reviews his footage of the elf,
Messiah told me he caught something.
watch very closely. Did you catch it? Watch again, frame by frame, as the light from a TV left on in the children's bedroom, at first, gets intensely bright, then reveals the silhouette of a small figure, seemingly looking directly at the toy elf, before disappearing again.
I was like, Messiah, that's you. And he goes, no, Mom, that's not me. And I was like, Messiah, quit playing. I kept rewatching it, and then I was like, well, this is some creepy stuff. So after that, I went to my landlord, and I was like, I just need to move apartments. I was terrified, and I left all the lights on. I wouldn't turn them off for a couple of days. I had my kids sleep with me because I didn't want anything to happen.
It doesn't look like what I would call a shadow figure. Those are usually really dark, dense masses. This is sort of a translucent shadow, but with a really well-defined border. It's almost like an interdimensional figure because it's there so briefly, a split second really. Now you see it, now you don't.
When you see the boy appear, you get this flash of light which is really interesting because maybe that's how they're communicating with us, right? Maybe that's just like they need a certain amount of energy to kind of materialize so we can actually see them.
I mean, we're seeing a clear, full silhouette of a child kind of gazing up at, obviously, this child's Christmas tradition. It was just chilling.
Chilling, yes, but not necessarily a bad thing.
When you consider the power of objects like an elf that is placed around the holidays, that carries a lot of power. And maybe it carries so much power that if you have some sort of childlike spirit that encounters this, maybe it continues to hold some sort of importance for them even in that next phase of existence.
Or perhaps it's not a child at all, but rather a byproduct of the spirit of Christmas.
Could this shadow form be a tulpa that was brought into existence by the belief of the child? Perhaps this energy is a residual of the boy. The boy has to sleep, the boy has to go to school, but he wants to keep an eye on that doll. So perhaps this shadow is not a spirit per se, but an echo of the boy. You can't communicate with it, you can't interact with it, but there it is, because his intention is to keep an eye on that doll.
Going forward, however, Messiah won't be able to do that. Because for Anisha, that Christmas magic, at least in this form, is over. For good.
I actually threw it away. I threw it in the dumpster. I put it in a box, I taped it, and I threw it away. And I even told Messiah that we're not doing it next year, we're not doing it no more.
Coming up, a woman is visited by her departed friend.
Hi!
In the form of a bird.
I know that's you. I know that's you, Chris.
Anyone who's grieved the loss of a loved one knows that coming to terms with never being able to see that person again is often the most difficult part. So, wouldn't it be comforting if those who have passed on could somehow communicate with us frequently to show us that they are doing okay and are still in some way right here with us? For one woman in California, that concept doesn't seem so far-fetched.
Hi! I'm so glad you're happy and you're doing well. She's looking right at me.
May 2024, Carmel Valley, California. As Diana Klein's best friend Christine is nearing the end of her life, Diana asks her if she would come back to visit her from the afterlife in a very specific way. As a bird tapping on her window, Christine assures her that she'll do what she can and dies later that same month. Then, about 2 weeks later,
Tap, tap. Tap, tap. Chris, I know it's you. Tap, tap, tap. I'm Diana Klein, and these are my videos. I was in my workshop, and I just heard my husband yelling, Diana, get in here, get in here. And I ran, and she was right there, and she was tapping and staring, and it was exactly what we talked about. I know that's you. I know that's you, Chris. I know it's you. I started to cry immediately and I said, Chris, I know it's you. And I could feel her. I know how that sounds. Sounds crazy. I could feel her relief in me recognizing what she was doing.
I'm so glad you're happy and you're doing well. Tap, tap, tap. There you are. How are you, Chris? Oh my God, hi.
And incredibly, in the years since it began,
Hi.
Diana has recorded hundreds of videos as the bird returns day after day,
Hi.
with Diana trying to accommodate the visits in any way she can.
She was working really hard to tap with her beak, very, very hard. And I didn't want her to hurt herself, so we put a chair out there so that she wouldn't have so far to do it. A lot of times people will say it's a bird fighting their reflection. And between the different windows she's gone to, she's landed on screens.
I'm here. Come here. You tap tap?
She's landed on door handles. She's landed on things that do not reflect. In fact, we soaked up the window when she first started coming to make sure that that wasn't that.
I feel like you're telling me something.
I don't believe in coincidence, and this bird is sitting on the same back of the chair that they put out for her. She's using the woman's name. Is this you? And the bird seems to acknowledge the question and answer the question intelligently.
Sometimes.
I wonder if I tap 3, will you tap 3?
Very intelligently.
Oh my God. Holy guys, this...
This bird comes to the window and starts tapping on it, showing intelligence with how many taps per request. Can you do it once, twice, 3 times? It's pretty remarkable. It pulls at your heartstrings and in ways it's hard to explain.
This is very much in line with who she was. She wasn't going to do it once. She wasn't going to jump 1 foot. She wasn't going to, you know what I mean? She was, it's just completely in line with her personality.
Is she here?
Yeah.
Hello.
But if this is Chris's way of communicating with Diana, does that mean that Chris is the bird? Diana has a theory.
I believe the bird is still the bird, but I believe that she inhabits, borrows something with that bird so that she can communicate and do the things that she does.
Another possibility here is that perhaps Diana was projecting her desire to have this message and for a bird to deliver it. And it was that energy kind of telepathically, because animals, I do think, communicate a lot more that way than we do. But either way, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. She feels comforted by it.
Whatever the reason, it's been a year, and the bird is still coming to visit Diana on a regular basis.
Good morning. I was just making a video. She's come today multiple times, and I am grateful every single time she comes, and I treat every visit like it could be the last.
Tap tap.
As long as she's willing to visit, I will be here. I will be here waiting on the other side of that glass.
I wonder if I tap 3, will you tap 3?
Coming up, a Londoner walking through an underground tunnel
He's good right now.
has an encounter with a terrifying shadow figure. Built in 1902, the Greenwich Foot Tunnel was intended to provide citizens of London with easy access to both sides of the River Thames by allowing them to walk under it. But in its 100+ years of existence, the tunnel has developed a notoriety, as much for its convenience as for its supernatural phenomena. And if the story of one Londoner's recent trip through the tunnel is any indication, that paranormal reputation is very, very well deserved.
I'm really scared right now.
March 22nd, 2025, in London, England. It's 3 a.m., and Mimo Miyagi is walking alone, on the way home from a friend's concert, when the navigation app Mimo is using appears to lead to an undesirable route.
Hi, my name is Mimo Miyagi, and this is my video. I'm walking, thinking this is gonna be a nice walk at night. Then I get a little bit confused, a little bit scared as well. And at that moment, I'm like, hold on, like, is this gonna take me through a tunnel? It is a known thing, first of all, not to go in tunnels in London, because it's like, first of all, it's very dangerous, and the second, they are haunted. Like, most of them are very haunted, and people have like different experiences in there. You do want to like try avoid tunnels as much as you can.
The tunnel Mimo has reluctantly entered, in particular.
I've been through the Greenwich Foot Tunnel, and this place is creepy as hell. It also has a lot of ghost stories and paranormal lore associated with it. People have reported hearing phantom footsteps walking next to or behind them, or the sound of whispers.
And sure enough,
I feel like I can hear someone. I don't know. I could instantly feel, honestly, like it was haunted, because I could hear like so many whispers from far away, as if something was like speaking into my ears and then like, you know, going off again. I can hear someone. I can hear something. I'm not sure who.
And from there, it only gets more terrifying. Because in the distance, just at the edge of visibility, Mimo spots a dark figure approaching.
For sake. Yep. There's someone in it. I'm scared now. I was explaining it, a zombie. He was like swaying left and right, and that was so scary for me, seeing that from far away. In my head, I was thinking, this is what I get. Like, this is actually game over. And then I just decided to stop filming, just in case I need to actually take off my shoes and having to run in case anything happens.
The figure passes by Mimo, and though the phone isn't recording, the impression it leaves is deep.
And as soon as I approached him, and I actually saw his eyes were so red. He looks at me dead in the eyes, and he goes like, ooh, like that. I looked straight into his eyes, and I had to look away straight away because I couldn't look at them. It was too scary. And then he just continues like swaying, walking, and I couldn't stop looking behind me.
I think we all understand that spidey sense that kicks in when we know something's off here, and that human is acting awfully inhuman.
And the now receding figure is about to act even more inhuman, as Mimo's camera is recording again.
Alright, just to update you, there's this one guy over there, and yeah, he seems happy, he seems chill.
It captures something extraordinary.
Yeah, I made it through. No, though, it's a long tunnel.
Watch again, as the camera is panned around. The figure that Mimo passed just seconds ago has disappeared, which Mimo doesn't even realize until rewatching the video later.
I'm happy that I didn't notice like straight away, because I think I would have freaked out.
This is one of the most terrifying clips. To be in this tunnel reminds you of like any horror movie, and you can see this shadow figure, this dark shadow figure in the distance. They turn the camera around again and the shadow figure's kind of vanished. Like, where did it go?
The fact that this particular threat vanishes within thin air, within a well-lit tunnel, and we don't see it anymore, starts to make you wonder if Mimo is interacting with something that was more maybe demonic or spiritual than human.
Mimo is, reluctantly, on the same page.
After that, it kind of just confirmed it for me that, you know, the red eyes, the swaying, the disappearance, and just what he was doing. Yeah, I think it just confirms it that it was a paranormal experience. Okay, let's go to the lift.
An experience that Mimo hopes to never have again.
If I could go back and not actually had gone through the tunnel, I wouldn't go through that tunnel. I feel like I can hear someone. Just go back. Just so you don't end up in like, you know, scary situations like this.
I'm scared. I'm really scared right now.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Coming up, a man using a thermal imaging camera captures a mysterious object gliding over a field. When one thinks of a UFO or UAP, the first image that might pop into their head is that of a flying saucer soaring across a night sky. But given so many recent captures across the world of so many shapes and sizes, that first impression may need some adjustment. Just consider the case of what one man in Montana recently caught on his thermal imaging camera, which adds one more nearly indescribable example of life from another world. November 2024, in Bozeman, Montana. Daniel Wild is perched on a hill, his thermal imaging camera set to white-hot mode to detect livestock, shown in bright white. When he suddenly spots something, not at all like the others. A figure, dark, shapeless, and seemingly gliding just above the level of the field. What on earth is that thing?
We know that living creature, something that's giving off a heat, a thermal indicator, is what's showing up as white on this video. So this thing that we see moving across the landscape is clearly the opposite of that. It is ice cold.
And it seems to be moving with some sort of a force field or a radiance around the object itself. This has often been described with a lot of UFO and UAP videos, and it seems to be demonstrating the same type of energy field around this object.
And whatever it is, appears to be freaking out the other animals around it.
Animals have survival instincts, and when they see something that's not normal to their environment, they get very wary of it, and in this case are so alarmed that they seem to be running away from this object as if it might be something threatening to them.
So, if not normal to this environment, then where exactly is it from?
Could this be some type of drone, for lack of a better word, from somewhere else? Something that's kind of just meandering around, collecting information, samples, data, examining cattle, animals, behavior, getting reconnaissance basically on us.
Is this a dimensional highway or a blip in the moment where we just have this kind of tear between dimensional space and time?
Or, given the fact that it eventually seems to levitate, perhaps it's another example of something we've seen before.
I kind of remember other videos like this where people are reporting, witches. Or things that are floating kind of in a fluid motion across the field and kind of changing shapes as it goes. Is it being carried by the wind? Is it under its own power?
I will be honest, my brain immediately went to one of my all-time favorite videos from past seasons, where we saw our little teardrop-shaped, apparently metal figure sort of scooting around the street and then kind of flying up into the air. Call it wishful thinking. I really wanted to think that this was the same kind of phenomenon.
Wishful thinking or not, one thing is clear. The UFO as we know it has evolved, which may be something we should start getting used to.
The paranormal doesn't fit within a tidy little box. I've seen a lot of strange things of all shapes and sizes, enough to make me think that it is a way weirder world out there than we realize.
What should you do in the event you witness something paranormal?
I know that's you, Chris.
Here are some tips to get it all on camera. Check your footage, and then check it again. Understand when to push boundaries.
Whoa!
And when to stop. Trust that what you're hearing really is something paranormal. And if you do catch something, email us at submitparanormal@gmail.com. Your footage could be seen right here on Paranormal Caught on Camera.